You know that feeling, right? It's maybe 2 in the morning, you're staring at the ceiling, and suddenly everything is just crystal clear.
Oh, yeah. The 2 a.m. version of you can do anything.
Anything. You're going to write the novel, you're going to master French, you're going to buy that cabin in the woods and, I don't know, live off the grid?
That version of ourselves is the most ambitious person on the entire planet.
Right. It feels inevitable. But then, 7:20 a.m. rolls around, the alarm goes off, you're tired, the coffee pot's broken, and suddenly that novel just stays in your head. The French book gets dusty, and the cabin is definitely not happening.
And that's the gap, isn't it? That's the space between I wish and I did.
Mm.
It's where most good ideas go to die, honestly.
Well, today we are trying to build a bridge over that gap. And our source material for this is, it's a little unusual for us.
It is. Usually we're digging into, academic papers or dense psychological studies.
Exactly. Today we are analyzing a conversation from the Mr. English channel.
I know. It sounds a bit strange. We're taking a dialogue between two characters, Emily and Paul, which was literally made to teach English. And we're treating it like a primary source for behavioral psychology.
I have to admit, when I first saw this in the stack, I was skeptical. I thought, okay, are we just going to learn how to order a coffee?
A fair question.
But when you actually listen to what they're saying, if you sort of strip away the grammar part, Emily and Paul are laying out this surprisingly solid framework for life planning.
That's actually why I love this source.
Yeah.
Because the language has to be simple for the learner, the advice gets boiled down to its absolute purest form. There's no fluff, no corporate buzzwords.
No synergistic paradigms?
None. It's just raw, practical advice on how to get from point A to point B.
It's like a little masterclass on the architecture of future planning, just disguised as a chat about, vacation.
Yeah.
So let's unpack it. The whole thing really hinges on a distinction I think most of us get wrong.
We use the words interchangeably all the time.
We do. Dreams and goals. Emily and Paul, though, they draw a really hard line in the sand between them.
It sounds like we're just splitting hairs, doesn't it? Like it's just semantics.
I mean, isn't a goal just a dream in a suit?
Not in their world, no. It's a functional difference. If you treat a dream like a goal, you get totally overwhelmed because it's too big.
And if you treat a goal like a dream,
You never actually start because it's too vague, too floaty.
So let's break down their definitions. Emily seems to be the more philosophical of the two. How does she define a dream?
She defines it purely by emotion. She calls it a beautiful picture in your mind that, she says, lives in your heart.
A picture in your mind? That's interesting because pictures are static. They don't move. They just hang on the wall.
Exactly. And that's the trap. A dream doesn't ask anything of you. You can have a dream of being a rock star for 20 years. You can enjoy the fantasy and never once actually pick up a guitar.
It's safe.
It's very safe. It lives in the heart, but it doesn't live in the real world.
Okay, so let's contrast that with Paul. He's a bit more pragmatic.
Paul is the tactician.
Yeah.
He says very simply, a goal is a dream with a plan.
A dream with a plan. It sounds so simple, but that one word plan changes the entire texture of the idea.
It's the pivot point. The second you add a plan, the what gets a how. And Paul adds a really crucial detail about the timeline. A dream is always for the future. It's indefinite. It belongs to someday.
But a goal.
A goal can be for today or next month. It has stakes.
I like that. A dream is someday, but a goal is Tuesday.
Exactly. And without that shift to Tuesday, the dream is just, a nice fantasy that makes you feel good for a minute.
Okay, so let's look at how this actually plays out because they give us two really good case studies. Let's start with Paul. He has a dream that I think every single person listening has had. He wants a small house near the ocean.
It's a classic. But listen to how he describes it. He's not talking about square footage or interest rate.
No.
He says he wants to hear the water, see the blue sea, and drink his coffee there.
He's using sensory details. He's putting himself in that scene.
Right. He's connecting it to a feeling. Peace. That's the heart component that Emily was talking about. If you don't have that emotional hook, that specific feeling, the logic just falls apart when things get hard.
You need the why to survive the how.
You do. But then reality comes crashing in. Paul says, point blank, it is very expensive.
And that's the off-ramp, right? That's where most people go, well, can't afford that, and they just let the dream slide away.
They file it back under dream to protect themselves from the disappointment. But Paul doesn't. He introduces a tool that is so simple it's almost silly.
The ocean house jar.
The jar is fascinating to me.
Is it, though? I have to push back a little here. I mean, come on. It's loose change. Putting a few dollars a week in a jar is not going to buy you beachfront property.
No, mathematically you are 100% right. As a financial strategy, it's terrible. Please do not use this as your main investment plan.
Okay.
But as a psychological strategy, it's brilliant.
How? If the math doesn't work, what's the point?
It's about the shift in his identity. Paul says, it is a very small step, but it is a goal. I'm moving toward my dream. So the physical act of putting a coin in that jar, it changes him from a guy who wishes he had a house to a guy who is actively saving for a house.
So it's a token of commitment. It makes the fantasy feel real.
It keeps the dream alive. It creates this little feedback loop. Every time he sees that jar, he's reminded of the ocean. He's reminded that he's taking action no matter how small. It stops the dream from just fading into the background noise of life.
Okay, I can see that. Now, Paul is playing the long game here, but Emily's example is a bit more aggressive. She wants to go to Japan.
And again, she starts with the heart. She loves the temples, the trees, the culture, and very important, the real sushi.
Which Paul immediately agrees with. You got to prioritize the snacks.
Shared values. But watch how she pivots. She says this was just a dream for a long time. Then she made a plan. And her plan is startlingly specific. It's a 3-step system.
I have them right here. Step 1. Read about Japan for 10 minutes every day.
Stop there. Let's just focus on that one. 10 minutes every day.
Yeah, that jumped out at me too. Why 10 minutes? It seems, I don't know, negligible. It's barely enough time to even get into a topic.
It seems negligible, and that's precisely why it works. If her goal was learn Japanese, that's terrifying. It's a mountain. Read a history book feels like a chore.
Like homework.
But 10 minutes? You do 10 minutes while you're waiting for the bus. It completely removes the barrier to entry. It prevents that paralysis we all feel when a goal is just too big.
Okay, so what were the other 2 steps?
Right. Step 2, save money every month. And step 3, look at tickets for next year.
Next year. Paul has a reaction to this. He says, next year, you are very brave.
That's such a key moment. Why is she brave?
Because she put a deadline on it. Deadlines mean you could fail. If I say someday, I can never fail.
Exactly. If you say someday, you're safe. The second you say next year, you're on the hook. You have to save the money. You have to book the time off. The planner accepts a risk that the dreamer just ignores. That's the bravery Paul is seeing.
This leads right into the psychology of all this. They talk about the link between stress and motivation.
Yeah, Emily makes the point that if a goal is too big, her example is memorizing a whole dictionary in a day. It just leads to stress.
And stress is the enemy of consistency. If your goal hurts, your brain is going to find a way to avoid it.
So they argue for motivation through enjoyment. Paul's health goal is the perfect example. He wants to have more energy. That's the dream. But his goal isn't run a marathon. It's walk for 20 minutes every morning in the park.
And he actually talks about enjoying it. He sees the birds, the sun.
He's engineered the goal to be pleasant. He isn't white-knuckling it through discipline. And this brings us to that fantastic metaphor they use, the turtle.
I love this. Even if you move slowly, you are making progress like a turtle. In a world obsessed with hacks and sprints, there's something so grounding about the turtle approach.
It's the compound effect. Consistency will always beat intensity. The turtle passes the rabbit while the rabbit is on the side of the road, gasping for air.
But they don't just leave it at be slow, because a turtle walking in circles isn't making progress. They pair the turtle with another image, the laser.
The laser is the counterbalance. Paul says being focused is like a laser. You look at one thing and you don't stop.
So you need both.
You have to have both. The turtle is your pace, but the laser is your direction. You can be a turtle moving slowly, but if you're just wandering around, you'll never find the ocean house.
The turtle and the laser. It sounds like a fable, but it's really a productivity system.
It really is. And a sustainable one.
Okay, so we have the heart, the turtle, and the laser. But how do you organize all this? Emily and Paul are both really big on getting this stuff out of your head.
They are huge on writing things down. And notice, they use different tools. There's no one right way. Emily has a notebook. Paul has a list on his fridge.
Paul's list is so simple, it's almost poetic. Drink water, walk in the park, practice English.
It's an environmental trigger. Every time he goes to the fridge for a snack, he's confronted with his own intentions. He's interrupting his own bad habits.
There's another layer to this, though, that is purely linguistic. I mean, since this is an English learning dialogue, they actually talk about the grammar of goals.
You mean the shift from I want to I am going to?
Yeah. Is there really a difference there, or is that just grammar nerds getting excited?
No, it's massive.
Yeah.
I want to buy a house is a statement of desire. It's passive. It's a wish. I am going to buy a house is a statement of intent. It's a plan.
It feels different when you say it. I want to have a big dinner versus I am going to have a big dinner. One means I'm hungry, the other means I have a reservation.
That's a great way to put it. When you say, I am going to, your brain switches into problem-solving mode. It starts looking for the how, I want, lets your brain stay in daydream mode. It's a subtle linguistic hack.
We also can't ignore the role of other people. Emily and Paul are constantly encouraging each other. This isn't a solo journey.
It's that community of dreamers idea they mentioned. Sharing your goal makes it real in a different way. If you tell your brother, I am going to Japan, you now have social accountability.
And support. Paul says having a friend say, good job, you can do this, really helps. It sounds a little cheesy maybe, but we all need that cheerleader.
We do. Isolation is a dream killer. When you hit a roadblock, and you will, having someone to remind you why you started is often the difference between quitting and keeping going.
I want to pivot to a part of the conversation that I think will hit home for a lot of people listening. What if you're hearing all this and you're thinking, great for Paul, but I don't have a dream. I don't know what I want.
That is a very real, very common anxiety. This pressure to have some grand passion.
Yet that they have an answer for that too through the story of Sarah.
Sarah, the quiet colleague from the office. This anecdote is so validating. Sarah didn't have a vision board. She didn't know she wanted to be an artist.
So what did she do?
She just tried something. She took a painting class. She engaged in the action before she had the dream. And through the act of painting, she discovered her dream.
That flips the usual advice on its head. We're told, find your passion, then take action. Sarah's story says, take action, and your passion will find you.
Exactly. You can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into it. Try a cooking class. Try a sport. The data comes from the doing. If she hadn't walked into that class, she'd still be the woman with no dream.
So if you're stuck, just pick something. Anything. The movement creates the clarity. Okay, there's one last angle here that I think is really important. What happens when dreams change? Or they don't work out?
This is a surprisingly touching moment. Paul reveals his childhood dream was to be an astronaut. He wanted to go to the moon.
And obviously, he's not an astronaut. He's a podcaster. In most stories, that's a failure. He missed.
But not here. Paul reframes it. He says he didn't become an astronaut, but he still looks at the stars at night, and he's okay with that. His dream evolved. Now his dream is the podcast, helping people.
He found a new way to connect with the universe.
He did. And he brings up the idea of being proud. He's proud of the podcast. He's proud of their listeners. It suggests that the fulfillment we're actually looking for comes from the effort and the connection, not necessarily the specific job title we aimed for as a kid.
It's the pride factor. The feeling of achievement is in the progress itself.
Which brings us back to their core message. Progress is better than perfection. A real imperfect podcast is better than a perfect imaginary one. A 20-minute walk is better than a fantasy about a marathon.
So let's bring this all together. If we had to distill Emily and Paul's wisdom down into a formula for you, what does it look like?
I think it's a three-part structure. One, the dream lives in the heart. You need that emotional why, the feeling of the ocean, the taste of the sushi.
Okay.
Two, the goal lives in the notebook. It has to be written down, specific, and broken into those turtle-sized steps. 10 minutes of reading, a few dollars in a jar.
Right.
And three, the support lives in the community. You have to share it with someone to make it truly real.
Heart, notebook, community.
And don't forget the secret sauce. The bravery to set a date. The shift from I want to, I am going to.
What I love most about this is it democratizes success. You don't need $1 million to start. You don't need a PhD. You just need a jar, a notebook, and 10 minutes.
It strips away all the excuses. We all have 10 minutes. We all have a metaphorical jar.
So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. We've talked about the 10-minute rule. We've talked about the turtle.
It's time to put it to the test.
Exactly. So here's the challenge. Think about that one big, scary dream you have. The one you've stuffed away. Writing a book, changing careers, moving, whatever it is. Don't worry about the money or the time right now. Just ask yourself, what is the 10-minute version of that dream?
What is the one tiny turtle-sized action you could take tomorrow morning?
Not next year, tomorrow. Is it writing one paragraph? Is it reading one article? Is it putting $5 in a coffee mug?
Whatever it is, identify it, write it down, say, I am going to do this.
And then be proud of yourself for starting. Because as Emily and Paul showed us, the only real difference between a dreamer and a doer is that first small step.
And remember, even the longest journey starts with a single step. Or, in Paul's case, a single coin in a jar.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Go find your jar, open your notebook, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone. keep making progress.